Hello friends, welcome. My name is Marina. I'm the person behind Everything Marina Food Blog. We bake macarons and other desserts here. Welcome. We're gonna be baking macarons today. And in this video, I want to show you how I make macaron shells and how I mix food coloring. And then we're gonna be making filling. Of course, you can help me to choose which filling will fit with those macaron shells, the color. To be honest, I have no idea what is going to come out, but I have a little idea. But the final result, it's always at the end of the video. And you guys will help me to decide. We're going to be making macaron shells. We're going to be using French meringue. If you don't know, I do use a lot of French meringue to make macarons. However, I do have recipe for Italian meringue. I also want to share with you sweet meringue recipe. If you want that recipe sooner, please leave comments under this video and I will share with you. If you don't like to bake, for example, with French meringue or maybe Italian meringue. But in this video, we're going to be using French meringue. Let's talk. Like usual, I want to talk about ingredients and tools that I'm going to be using. I think I do this in every video, and I think it's very beneficial for many bakers to see what I'm using, what I have on a table, what ingredients, instead of just showing you the whole process. I like to talk about ingredients and I like to talk about tools, and I always explain why I'm using this tool or why I'm using that ingredient. If you're ready, let's get started. First, very important tool I'm using KitchenAid mixer. If you don't have KitchenAid, you can use your mixer. However, the speed and probably the mixing bowl will be a little different from KitchenAid, and maybe whisk will be different, but the whole process, the whole making French meringue steps will be the same. So I'm using KitchenAid. This one I have classic. I also have professional mixer and I have artisan mixer, KitchenAid, but I like this one lately because it's white and it fits really well for the videos. However, it doesn't matter which KitchenAid you use, you need mixing bowl. And I'm using specifically for the videos, I'm using this glass bowl. I want you guys to see what I'm doing in a bowl. I'm using the mixing bowl and we need whisk attachment. This is my main tool. Another tools, and let's talk about ingredients a little bit later when I will be adding ingredients. Let's talk about tools first. We're gonna need whisk, sift. Oh, I forgot actually one more mixing bowl. I need to add it. Spatula, piping tip. This is round, Wilton 12. This is my favorite. I'm always using for macaron shells. Very large pastry bag. I think this one is 24-inch. You can also use 18. I would not recommend anything less than 18. 12 is too small. Something 24, 18 will be good. I'm using baking mats. I have 2 of them. This is Silpat. It already has template for macarons. If you don't have baking mats like this, you can use your favorite one. Also, I have template. It's free on my blog. If you wanna, you can print it out, place under baking mat, and pipe macaron shells. The baking sheet pan. This is my usual. This is Capalon 12 by 17. This is what I'm using. I'm using timer because I'm making French meringue and I'm timing the whole process of the French meringue. Then I have this bag holder and I want to show you why I'm using this. If you don't have this tool I got from Amazon, you can maybe use some vase, tall glass jar, or maybe some pitcher. Basically anything you can find in your kitchen. I like this one I purchased and it's not expensive at all. round piping tip pastry bag. I'm using scissors. I'm cutting tip like that. What my secret for cutting this tip, I usually cut the same size as my piping tip. That is my secret. I know many bakers and chefs do a little differently. They place this piping tip into pastry bag and then they use scissors and then they cutting. I don't want to ruin my scissors, so like I said, I'm cutting that tip from the pastry bag the same size as my piping tip. And I'm placing in a pastry bag and it's fit perfectly. Look. And then I'm placing in this pastry bag holder. As I'm explaining to you what tools I'm using, I'm preparing at the same time. Some tools I don't need right away, so we're gonna place aside. And I need larger mixing bowl. I also using glass this time because I want you guys to see. Ingredients: almond flour, I'm using blue diamond, white granulated sugar, powdered sugar, I'm using Domino, and egg whites. Egg whites, they are room temperature. I separated egg yolks and I'm using just egg whites. I do not age egg whites. This is just room temperature, nothing special really. 4 ingredients to make my macaron shells. However, I want to make orange macaron shells and I'm going to be using orange food coloring. In my previous videos, you probably seen I was using gel food coloring a lot. I want you to see how to use powder food coloring. This powder food coloring is from Oat. You know, this is really good food coloring for macarons, powder. But why do I have 2 of them? This is my secret. Right now it's October and many bakers preparing for Thanksgiving, soon for Christmas and Halloween. So we don't want any bright colors. What I like to do, and this is my tip, I'm using just a regular food coloring, pink, whatever, green, orange at this time. And just to tone it down a little bit, not to make it bright, I'm gonna add a little bit of brown food coloring. You see, when you add a little bit of brown food coloring, your main color will not be that bright. It will just give that fall vibe. That's exactly what I'm looking for the color. That's exactly what we need for fall and for winter, because nobody wants to see that bright pink. That's just my personal opinion. However, I want to show you how I make macaron shells using powder food coloring. In my previous videos, if you follow me on Instagram, I was showing you when I'm adding food coloring, powder food coloring into white granulated sugar, and then I mix it, and then I'm adding into egg whites and making French meringue. Nothing wrong with that. This is one way. In this video, I want to show you other way where you can use powder food coloring, and I'll tell you why. In a mixing bowl, we're gonna add egg whites. And because this is powder food coloring, it will be really correct to add them right into liquid. What do we have liquid? Egg whites, right? So we're gonna add orange color first into egg whites, into liquid. That will help to absorb that food color. And this is just another way to use food coloring. And like I said, I'm using Oat orange marmalade food coloring. For macarons, if you don't know, we're using water-based or water-soluble food coloring. We don't use any oil-based food coloring. Nothing oil. We don't need make French meringue with oil-based anything. So this is powder, water-soluble or water-based food coloring. Just a little bit. I added orange food coloring. And then I'm adding a little bit of brown. To be honest, it all depends on recipe. I'm using my basic French meringue recipe, and the food coloring, I know I tried this before food coloring and I know exactly how much to add, but if you're using food coloring, specific one maybe that you never had them before, and you might play a little bit with the amount that you're going to be putting into egg whites, because sometimes just a little bit of food coloring, it can make very bright, or maybe you need a lot to make it more brighter, like with the gel food coloring. Then I'm using whisk and I'm mixing. And you see the color of the egg whites right now. This will help to absorb that food coloring, the egg whites, and will help to make this French meringue brighter. But at the same time, we don't need that bright, very bright. We need those fall vibes. We need those pastel colors. So I'm just gonna clean up a little bit here. I wanna show you from this side, because some people were asking me to show the speed of the mixer, and you know, I'm not hiding anything from you guys. I hope you can see. I'm gonna make secure first, and we're gonna be starting on the low speed. I don't even know which one this is too low right now. We're gonna use this speed, and I think it's speed number 2. The food coloring. And if your mixer is too slow, there is nothing wrong to use next speed. We just need to break those egg whites and then start adding white granulated sugar. And you see the color, it's not just orange. Because we added a little bit of brown, it's kind of toned it down, and we're gonna have this perfect fall color. Don't forget that color will also change, depends on your oven, if you're using electrical or you're using gas oven. I'm using my gas oven, and at the end of this video you will see the result. Slowly start adding white granulated sugar, about 1 tablespoon at a time. If you watch my previous video, then you know I don't dump all this sugar at once. I'm using a tablespoon at a time. And please note, I did not change the speed. Speed of the mixer is the same. Right now, what I'm doing next, I'm setting up my timer for 15 minutes. And right now it all depends on your mixer. You can increase speed to higher one and keep increasing after 5 minutes, or you can keep mixing at the same speed and then increase. I'm gonna be using the same speed in this mixer. After 5 minutes, I'm gonna change the speed to higher, and then after 5 more minutes, I'm changing speed to higher. So total 15 times, and the speed will be 8, 6, 8. It all depends on your mixer. 15 minutes, and we keep mixing. And while I'm making French meringue, I want to show you what I'm doing while my mixer is working. And it's probably going to be loud, but I will put some music on, and just you can watch what I'm doing. After 5 minutes, I'm increasing speed. About 5 minutes left on my timer, and I'm increasing speed one more time. And you see the speed, I think it's on 8 right now. So we use 4, 6, and 8. And if you have different mixer, maybe professional one, professional will be 2, 4, and 6. But it all depends on your mixer. You have to just look at what is going on in the mixing bowl. You have to see when is the meringue ready, and I'll show you the result. All right, the 15 minutes is up. And I'm gonna stop this mixer, and I wanna show you the French meringue. As you see on a whisk, that's what we have. That's your French meringue. You see my whisk? That's how it looks. You see how stable is this meringue, how shiny, and you see those points? That's what we're looking for. Look at this color. We mix orange and a little bit of brown. And the mixing bowl, this is what we have. And my trick, and how do we check French meringue? We do like this. I would not recommend to repeat at home because you never know what can happen. French meringue, when we use 2 food colors, powder food coloring. We use orange and we use a little bit of brown. Oops. Just be careful, do not break your mixing bowl. All right, next step to make French macarons. We made French meringue in a mixing bowl. Then we're gonna add dry ingredients. This is almond flour and powdered sugar. Right away, I'm adding into the same mixing bowl where is my French meringue. And I've seen some people moving French meringue into dry ingredients and then they keep folding butter in a mixing bowl like that. I don't have the large one. I'm always using in my mixing bowl from the mixer. Then I'm using spatula and I start folding. Yes, you can mix this in a mixer using paddle attachment. I would say that more for professional bakers because it's so easy to overmix butter and then you can go back. I'm just showing you how beginner bakers do, and this is more you have control of the macaronage when you're using just a spatula and not paddle attachment. If you have a bakery and if you bake macarons a lot, yes, after a couple times of using maybe spatula, your hand, your shoulder will hurt. And I would highly recommend then to switch to paddle attachment. But again, you have to be very careful and not to over mix macaronage because you can go back. And you cannot add just more almond flour to make it thicker. That's not how it works with the macarons. I want you to see what I'm doing in a mixing bowl. I'm trying to deflate all those bubbles while I'm mixing with the dry ingredients. I'm cleaning sides of the mixing bowl and the bottom. It really doesn't take too long. However, after doing a couple times a day, if you're baking for sales, your hands will hurt. I'm doing the circles, and I see some other bakers do something like this. I find the circles are easier for my hands, for my shoulders. And we keep checking batter every like 5-6 folds. You see, this is not ready. What we're looking for this lava consistency, right? But I kind of stopped saying that lava consistency because not that many people seen lava and they don't know what I'm talking about. So I start using that term that butter should flow fast from your spatula when you test. This is not fast enough. I still need more folds. While you're doing this, don't forget to clean your spatula because there is a lot of like dry ingredients still on a spatula and we want this the same consistency. My hand is already hurting because I'm doing on the camera. What I'm usually doing, I'm holding my mixing bowl like that. And it's much easier than my shoulder not hurting. All right, just want to show you consistency again. You see how it flows fast from the spatula? That's what we're looking. Even a few more times. And what do you think about this color? Do you like when we mix orange and brown? What do you think? Let me know in comments. I would really like to know what do you think. Maybe you already mixed the colors. Maybe you're mixing like blue and red or some other colors. Now we're going to transfer macaronage into pastry bag. That's why I was telling you, when we prepare everything and we start making macaronage and folding the butter, and when we start making macarons, we need all tools ready. There is no time to go and find this pastry bag or scissors. So make sure you prepare everything. And everything is ready. My mixing bowl is clean. I just want to use every drop. And I'm cleaning my spatula because there is still some batter left. Cleaning my hands. Putting my whisk. This is why I was telling you to use large pastry bag, because we need this part be clean and we don't want any macaronage flow from the top of the pastry bag. And I'm placing flat on the countertop right now, and I'm just kind of using my fingers, not too much. We don't want to overheat the macaronage. And we're gonna be piping. I just need to clean up my space. I have 2 baking sheet pan and 2 baking mats. The food colors that I used. I zoom in my camera a little bit and I want you to have a better view when I'm piping. I'm holding pastry bag in the right hand, and the whole pressure will go from my right hand. My left hand, I'm just gonna be holding a little bit this pastry bag, usually by piping tip or right here. I'm not using my hand like this, because from the temperature of my hand, macaronage will warm up, and we don't need that. Just one by one, you press, you stop, and you move to the next one. And right here, if you don't have template, I would highly recommend to use template, because you want macaron shells to be the same size. You press, you stop, and move. You need to make sure you're holding this pastry bag straight. And you see the color, it's not really bright, because we use brown food coloring. It just gave that shades of fall. And we stopped. You can place this on a baking sheet pan, or you can do the wave. But please be very careful and not to fold this baking mat. It's so easy to do that. If you have any air bubbles, just use toothpick or the special tool, baking tool, to remove those bubbles. And if you want right now, will be good time to add any toppings like sugar, maybe sugar with cinnamon, or maybe some flakes, some nuts. Don't use sprinkles, because sprinkles are not good for that. To use as a topping before baking, you can later decorate with royal icing and sprinkles, but don't use sprinkles before baking. Now let's repeat with the second baking tray. Maybe I'll use this view. And usually my recipe makes about 2 trays, but it all depends on the size of the macarons that you're making. And if you want larger, try to do the same size. And don't hold this piping tip too close to the baking mat, and don't hold too high, so just about 1/2 inch. It's hard to do with one hand. I want you guys to have a better view. And I have some macaronage left. That's fine. I'm just gonna use a different baking mat. Let's do a little wave. Place on a baking tray. If you have any air bubbles, remove them with a toothpick. And I have some macaronage, maybe for a few more shells. Maybe just one more. The last one is always weird shape. But we try to fix with this wave. For this one, the last my few shells, I'm gonna top them with the flakes, the fellutine flakes. I make my own and I make them gluten-free. I have a separate video. If you like, I would leave under this video so you guys can make it. It's really great for the fall. But keep in mind that if you're using different flakes, you already purchased them and they're not gluten-free. Mine are gluten-free. Some of them large size. Just a little bit to give that fall vibe. And the color is so beautiful. I usually keep them in an airtight container or in a bag. I'm gonna move this baking tray on my baking sheet. And I'm gonna let macarons shells to dry on the countertop for about 15-20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. It all depends on the environment where you live. And I will be preheating my oven to 300 Fahrenheit and I will be baking macaron shells for 12 to 14 minutes. Sometimes it may take a few minutes longer. I bake in a gas oven. So the time and temperature may be different, depends on your oven. If you're using gas or maybe professional oven. Macarons will be drying and we're gonna be checking with the fingers if they dry. Want to show you one more time the food coloring that I was using. This is orange marmalade and hazelnut brown from Ott. I think this is perfect fall colors. I will show you the result. I just baked my first batch and I have my second batch in the oven right now baking, and I just want to show you, it's still a little hot. Just want to show you the first batch of macarons that we made. Look at this color. I think it's really perfect for the fall. Let's just break, see what's inside. It's still hot. I kind of broke. Really not beautiful. Let's get another one. They still warm, but I really want to show you what's inside. Just want to make sure they're not hollow. They still a little hot, but that's what we have inside. The color is really, really great for fall. But they full. That's how they look inside. I will be making filling tomorrow and assembling those macarons, but right now I want to hear what you guys think. What kind of filling should I make to match this macaron shells? Please let me know in comments what kind of filling we should make to match this macaron shells. We're gonna be making tomorrow filling. Thank you for watching and happy baking!